One, two, 1, 2, ready, go.
Okay, so welcome. This is our first inaugural episode of a podcast that we're developing here in interactive multimedia. It's going to be, to start, conversations between myself and a student. The idea would be different students for each episode and kind of just talking about the lab, projects, software certifications, things that we do here in interactive multimedia. As the podcast grows, then the idea would be that we will look at bringing in outside people in industry and interviewing them. And then the students will eventually take over and I will take a back seat and you'll hear more from them. So first of all, welcome. My name is Mr. Ash and I am the interactive multimedia instructor here at the Columbiana County Career and Technical Center. And with me, I have, go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Caleb Hughes. I am a senior from Crestview.
So the idea is that I'm just going to ask some questions and prompt, conversation and just talk a little bit. And we'll just spend a few minutes doing that here on this first episode and kind of go from there. All right. We have just had our sophomore tours. They finished and kids are busy signing up. And I'm kind of curious, when you first visited, what was it about the lab that just kind of struck you that, you saw it and you were like, I want to be a part of that. I want to use that. I want to learn that. What was it for you?
So for me, it was probably I saw the pen boards were out and all the illustration in Photoshop. That was what first drew me in. And I knew some of the kids from the year before me that were in it.
So now that you've been in here for a little while and you've gotten to use the software and the equipment and all of these pieces and you're learning the ins and outs, how has the use of Adobe software, how has it helped you, do you think, with your future career endeavors, your skill set, things like that?
Well, it's definitely good to get the experience from using it, learning what's basically the industry standard, what's used for most of everywhere that uses the graphic design stuff. Illustrator is definitely, I like using that because it's probably what I'm going to be using most when I go into the graphic design field. And it's good to start learning what is used throughout the industry.
Okay, so talking about software, think about all of the projects from junior year up till now. What has been your favorite project or the favorite one that you've worked on or the one you're most proud of or anything like that?
One of my favorite projects was I really liked the vector portrait because it was one of our first big Illustrator projects, and it was just fun to take all the little shapes and pieces in the face and use them to create a more flat, almost illustrated look to the portrait.
Great. So I guess, would you say that Illustrator is your favorite software that you've learned in interactive media?
Either Illustrator or Photoshop, because I do like how it's easier to draw in Photoshop, but it is fun to use Illustrator to make things like graphics and logos and stuff like that.
Right. Nice. Okay, so while we're on the subject of Adobe software, let's talk about Adobe certifications. What do you think is the most difficult thing about earning Adobe certifications?
It's definitely remembering where certain functions are in a program, where they are in the drop down features and how to find them basically without being able to search them up or taking a long time to look through everything.
Right. That makes complete sense. What certifications do you have right now? Which ones have you earned?
I have Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, and I think that's all three I have.
Okay, so you have these earned certifications. How do you think they're going to help you in the long run?
Just having those on like a resume or in my portfolio can show that I've like been through. I've learned. I have prior experience, and it helps me figure out like to navigate other stuff easier because of how we have learned to navigate the different programs.
Okay, so now, let's go back to the sophomore tours, and now that they're finished and, kids are signing up for next year, what kind of advice do you have for students who are on the cusp? I want to sign up, but I'm not quite sure, or I have signed up, and there's something that they need to know.
Well, for me, I knew that I was wanting to go into some kind of like graphic design or some visual like design thing later in life in my career. So it's definitely gotten me more prepared for like deadlines and like how to deal with like the brand guides and client proposals and stuff like that.
Hmm. Okay, so then what advice do you have for the students who have signed up, the ones that are coming in, they already know it? And what would you tell them that you've learned about the program to be successful?
Be prepared to like buckle down and get to work on things and not procrastinate as much as like you do, because I know I definitely have procrastinated a fair bit in my time.
Okay, so we're getting there, right? Coming to the end. It's the end of senior year. You're getting ready to move on here. So, what are the next steps? What's next for you?
I plan to go to college for graphic design, and I have been thinking between the Modern College of Design and YSU's graphic design major. YSU is definitely a lot closer for me. It's basically just right, like a 10-minute drive from my house. So, and there's more than just the graphic design there. There's a little more stuff that I can get into there besides just design.
Hey, Caleb, I just want to say thank you for being on this first episode here. And I want to thank everybody who's listening to this podcast. Join us again next week, hopefully, for another episode where I will talk to another student and get their take on things that they're learning here in the lab and things that they're looking forward to, and what successes they've had.
1, 2, 1, 2, ready, go.